AION 2 finally launched in Korea and Taiwan, and honestly, to absolutely nobody's surprise, it wasn't what anyone expected. And not in the good, oh wow, this exceeded my hype way. More like the quiet disappointed, yeah, I knew this was gonna be bad, but damn, I didn't know it was gonna be this bad. I had every intention of doing a proper review, first impressions, system breakdown, maybe some constructive optimism mixed in, but at some point I just stopped and asked myself, for what? What's the point of breaking a game down piece by piece when I can't even push myself to reach max level? And that's where the story really starts, the part where even low expectations still weren't low enough. Years of failed MMORPG launches have conditioned players like us to approach new releases cautiously. You learn to temper your hype, you tell yourself it's just another wait and see situation. But even with all that skepticism, AION 2 still managed to hit a level of disappointment that felt almost impressive. Because if you move aside all the launch chaos, the server crashes, the endless DDoS attacks, the bugs and verification issues, the broken login servers, even if you remove all of that and pretend that the monetization doesn't exist, the core game simply isn't good enough for 2025 standards. And that's the part nobody wants to hear, but we need to talk about. This wasn't a case of a good game buried under technical issues, it was a case of a weak foundation with everything else collapsing on top of it. NCSoft's entire plan with AION 2 was obvious. Drop a quick nostalgia-fueled cash grab, let the classic crowd carry the hype, and pray that people don't notice the game beneath all the marketing. The problem is simple, nostalgia is only useful when you're building on something that deserved it in the first place. I never played classic AION, so the nostalgia card didn't hit me. I came into AION 2 with fresh eyes, comparing it to the current MMO landscape. Games that have evolved, systems that have matured, and players who expect more than a mobile tier auto padding and 2015 graphics. And AION 2 simply wasn't there. Honestly, if they had just remade AION Classic in Unreal Engine 5, polished it, modernized it, kept the identity intact, that would have been the safer, smarter, and probably more profitable play. But no, instead we got something that looks like it fell out of a different decade. The fact that AION 2 can be played on mobile should have been the first red flag. Not because mobile gaming is bad, it isn't, but because PC MMORPG players know exactly how this story goes. Simplified systems, UI straight off a phone screen, monetization built around FOMO, optimization that barely exists, and visuals that look outdated even on max settings. AION 2 hits every single one of those. It looks like a mobile game first, PC game second, maybe even third. The UI is stiff and awkward, designed around tapping instead of clicking. The pop-up windows, the layout, the icons, everything screams recycled from a mobile template. And then NCSoft goes on record saying that the real PC UI will come later. Why? Why release a PC MMORPG without a functioning PC interface? Who makes that decision? Who thinks players are going to forgive that? Someone at NCSoft looked at that UI and said, yeah, just ship it. And that decision says everything. And then the PvE dungeons. I say this with no exaggeration, I got more resistance from random open world mobs than from the bosses inside the expedition dungeons. I did 2 expedition dungeons and cleared both of them on the first try, one of them was actually a duo. No challenge, no tension, no mechanics, you just run in, avoid the mobs, press buttons, you get loot. That's not good design, it's not even casual friendly design, it's just boring. I made it to level 35 before I stopped, not because I was burnt out, but because I was bored. And that's the worst possible reason to quit an MMO. If leveling's boring, the endgame won't save it. MMOs that start boring always stay boring. And anyone saying, oh, but the game starts at level 45, doesn't understand that the game starts the moment you press create character. First impressions matter, they matter more than ever. You can't ask players for dozens of hours of patience just to reach the good part, and nobody has time for that anymore. Then there's the monetization, the part that has become NCSoft's signature at this point. And listen, I expected pay to win, I expected battle passes, I expected convenience items and boosts and premium passes and the whole mobile package. But this felt like NCSoft pushing the limits just to see how far players would bend before snapping. The funniest and saddest part to me was the emergency developer livestream on day 2. Not week 2, not month 2, day 2. A live stream full of apologies, damage control, backpedaling, promising to adjust monetization based on feedback. Their kinda official explanation for the paywalls, We didn't want players to feel stress of grinding, so we added options to make it easier. Translated, we knew the grind was bad, so instead of fixing the grind, we monetized the fix. Even the loyal Korean whales the audience NCSoft traditionally relies on hated it. If they had taken all the optional subscriptions, the boosters, the passes, the perks, and then just combined them into a single $10 a month sub, they would have made more money and created a healthier game. But nope, greed comes first, it always has, and it's actually mind-blowing how NCSoft hasn't gone bankrupt with the amount of failed projects they've released. But I guess as long as a few whales keep the lights on and as long as they can generate quick quarterly numbers, the machine keeps turning. The market responded though. NCSoft stock dropped roughly 20% after launch and hasn't recovered. As much as that is player outrage, that is also investor disappointment. Here's the part that hurts. There is something good in this game, believe it or not. The hybrid action top target combat system. It's actually great. It's snappy, responsive, fluid. That should be the golden standard for future MMORPGs. It's the one system that felt polished, modern, and genuinely enjoyable, which just makes everything else sting more. A good combat system trapped inside a bad game. AION 2 is scheduled for a global release in the second half of 2026, somewhere between July and December. That sounds far away, but it's not enough time. Because what exactly are they supposed to fix? Rebuild the monetization, rebuild the UI, rebuild the entire leveling curve, rebalance dungeons, add actual PC features, rework progression, fix optimization. That's not patchwork, that's actual redevelopment. What should have happened is simple. AION 2 should have just launched globally as an open beta. Just call it what it is. Gather feedback, adjust and build trust. Use the end of 2025 to actually finish the game. But no, they needed profit now, they needed numbers now, they needed a product to show their shareholders at the end of the year. So they rushed it and it shows. Here's the part where I have to be honest with myself. I'm going to try global version anyway. Because this is who we are as MMORPG players. We are dented, we are wired wrong, we complain, we criticize, we shake our heads, and then we still show up for the next launch because we're always hoping the next one will finally scratch that itch we've had for years. It's not even optimism anymore, it's instinct. You slap an MMORPG tag on something and we are already halfway to the download before we realize what we're doing. And that's okay, because deep down we still want that feeling back. The magic of discovering a world worth investing in, worth exploring, worth committing to. We keep trying because we still believe someone someday will get it right. But AION 2 right now, it's not that game. And unless NCSoft pulls off a miracle, I'm not sure it will ever be. But who knows? Maybe the global release will surprise us. Maybe they will rebuild it. Maybe they will actually listen for once. Or maybe, just maybe, we are destined for the same cycle of disappointment all over again.